Hi, my name is Jim, and welcome to Bushcraft and Campcraft Tested. So, what we're going to talk about today is baking in a bush pot. Now, what I have done is I've ordered a large bush pot from Self-Reliance Outfitters. Reason I'm looking at getting into baking in the bush pot, they don't make the Outback Plus 10 anymore. I've got two of those, but I'm using those for my Campcraft when I'm out on my motorcycle. Cast iron is just too heavy to be packing out in the woods. Even the smallest cast iron, great for heat retention, great for baking in, just massively heavy to carry. So what I've done is I've got one of the Self-Reliance Outfitters bush pots, the large model, and we're going to bake some bread in that. So what I've done is I've got a biscuit recipe, and I'll post a link to it. Now these little pantry kitchen tins are also from SRO, and I have my biscuit bread mix in here. So let's start off. Over here in my haversack, I keep a double bag, Ziploc bag, a pair of glass jars that have cooking oil in them. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. This stuff doesn't give a bad taste to the bread at all. So we're going to start off. So let's make a little hole right here in the top. Just like that. Now, if you're baking this in your house, normally with biscuits, you're going to use butter because you want them to be nice and flaky. But out here in the field, I like for my bread to be a little bit tougher. Not much, but a little bit. So we're going to take a little bit of this oil. We're going to pour it right down in the middle of that hole. I'll show you. Just like this. So you're going to work that oil into the mix. Get it good and incorporated. Doesn't hurt a thing to mix it right in the tin. And I'll tell you why it's a good idea to mix it in the tin. If you need more flour, you can put more flour in it. If you need less flour, you push it off to the side. And you don't dirty up a bunch of dishes. Now we add a little bit of water. My mix is based on all-purpose self-rising flour, unbleached. Let's put a little water in the mix. Now for 3 cups of this mix in your kitchen, you're going to put in a 1/4 cup of oil and about a whole cup of water. But we're out here in field conditions, and I really don't feel like bringing measuring stuff out here with me. So we're just going to eyeball it and guesstimate. You want to stir that in, get a nice thick raggedy dough. Okay. Now, we're getting somewhere. So, don't be scared to get your hands in it. That's part of bushcrafting. Getting dirty in the field. Just get right in there with your hands and start mixing her up. If it feels a little sticky, use a little more flour into it. If you feel like it's too dry, get a little more water in it. All right. Now, once I got everything mixed up and incorporated, I'm going to take my little baking sheet. Now, here's my honest assessment of the Self-Reliance Outfitters Bush Pot. You see this little piece here in the front, that little lip? If you stick it in the bush pot, it comes up nice and even, and you're not able to get the lid to fit on there tight. But to get this in order to fit, turn it sideways, and you can get it in there and get your lid on there nice and tight. So take your dough, get it all mixed up. Nicely incorporated. And then you're going to flatten it out. Get her down to, I don't know, maybe ½ inch thick. Because you're going to want this to cook as quick as possible. Hopefully within 10 minutes. What you're doing is you're making just one big biscuit loaf, actually. So what we'll do is we'll get that stuck in there just like this. All right, got the lid tightly sealed. So rake your coals back once you got a good bed of coals. You can't really cook over fire, you need coals. So let's just put a glove on. All right. Now let's get some coals banked up and around it. Now what I like about this bush pot is I can bake bread in this thing. I can turn it up, use it like a regular pot. I can boil water in it for my freeze-dried meals, or I can make soups, I can make stews, I can boil pasta in this thing. Heck, I may even make a casserole. So now we just wait. We give her about 5 minutes, rake everything back, we'll pull the pot out, check it, turn it around so we don't end up burning our biscuit on one side or another. While that's baking, take a look at this. This is how much flour you still have left to make more bread with. I think it's about time to turn this around. We don't want to burn it. All right, let's take it out. You know what? I think that's pretty much done right there. Well, I got an idea. Let's dive in on this. Now, it is completely baked. It didn't brown on the top. If you look right in here, there's no raw dough. Not a bunch of dry flour. I got it mixed pretty good. I really like that. All right, so I already showed you how SRO, Self-Reliance Outfitters, recommends you cook in their bush pot. So let me show you some modifications that I made. I'm so used to baking in cast iron that what I've done is I went down to the store and I picked up a mini loaf pan that fits just perfect. And I picked up a little ring. This is like a really big biscuit cutter. Now you can, out in the field, you can pick up a couple of equal sized rocks and put them in here. But this thing doesn't weigh hardly nothing. So what I've done is I put that down in the bottom. You can take a look. Then I can set this right on top so I can get it up off the bottom of the pan or off the bottom of the pot. So let's dig out a spot here in the coals. Got some coals on the very bottom here. So we're going to put the lid on. Then we're going to set this on that bed of coals right there. Put that bail down. Now let's rake some coals around the bottom, around the edges. Then let's place some coals on the top. I got my little homemade tongs. Now what I'm hoping, this is going to end up browning the top of my bread. Alright, this has been baking for about 5 or 6 minutes. So very carefully, let's rake these coals back and check, see what we got in here. Look at that. Now, let me show you what else I got. Okay, see how nice and brown that got? What I have done, I took a stick of butter and melted it, poured it in one of these tins, put it in the fridge until it rehardened. The neat thing of it is now I can carry actual butter in the field. Now what you'll want to do, you tape around the edges like I do, but to keep it from really getting messy, I put it in a Ziploc baggie to put it in my haversack. We're going to butter the top of this back in the oven. Boy, I'll tell you what, there ain't nothing, absolutely nothing like getting out here in the backwoods cooking over an open fire. Just a little bit of butter on that. Now here's what we're going to do. Back in the oven, let's put a few of these coals back on top. You know what, let's just take it all the way out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see if we can get her out of the pan. No. What I want to do is put her back in, bake her a little bit more on the bottom now. Well, what we're doing by putting the coals on top, that's as close as it was to the top browned nice. We didn't get quite enough heat in the bottom to get the bottom done. After about your 15-minute mark, you might want to check it every 5-10 minutes. Boys, that's a biscuit loaf right there now. Look at that. That is baking bread in the field. That's what you want to see right there. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Self-Reliance Outfitters, you knocked one out of the park with this one. So, let's dig into this thing. Look at that. Oh, we gotta have some butter. So we'll just take our little tin of butter here and butter up our hot bread. Biscuit loaf right out in the field. Being an old cast iron Dutch oven baker and cooker, and then switching to this for lighter weight bushcrafting, Self-Reliance Outfitters, you hit this one out of the park with your large bush pot. Big stainless steel. I think you could probably do the same thing in one of their smaller bush pots, but this loaf right here fits in there perfectly, bakes up great. If you like this video, you want to see more of this content, drop me a line and let me know.